Hello and a warm welcome back to the channel. This is Clement once more. I was um, I was on a train earlier and it occurred to me that I was feeling what I like to call a bit of background anxiety, and I thought that might be a good opportunity to make a video around the subject of anxiety. I realise I think there's probably one already out there that I made some time ago, but maybe consider this one as a sort of add-on to that one. So maybe we could do like an anxiety playlist, perhaps. Anyway, to talk through the background anxiety, or just anxiety in general, what actually is it? How can we perceive that we're feeling anxious? So I asked myself, okay, so what are you feeling, Clement? Well, I'm feeling a bit anxious. Okay. And what is it that tells you that you're feeling anxious? How do you know that? I think, well, I notice there's like a kind of like a little, feels like a tightness in my chest. It doesn't feel so sort of spacious as it normally does there. It seems like breathing is like not as kind of full of ease as it sometimes is. I notice that my brain seems kind of fixated on things, almost like acquires a sort of like a sticky quality to things rather than the sort of fluidity with which it might normally like pursue things that are interested. So there's something that's outside my normal way of being. And maybe I notice also that my shoulders are a bit tight. They don't feel as loose as they might be. Or maybe it's just simply I don't normally notice them, but I notice them when they're tight. Yeah. And you might have things that you notice in your body that change when you feel anxious. It's common to feel this sort of shortness of breath, or sometimes we might have sort of what's loosely called IBS, things like maybe feeling like bloating or knowing that our tummy isn't quite what it might normally be. And so these are ways in which we can identify anxiety in ourselves just from looking at the body. And having identified it, I think that we can probably say that it's something that we would rather not feel, that our body is acting in a way that is not helping us deal with the current situation and is more a legacy of that time when, as humans we were running away from savage animals or perhaps even savage human beings. But now, assuming that you're living in a similar environment to the one I'm in, then the anxiety is not necessarily appropriate in this case. So how do we pull back from that? How do we return to a more comfortable state of mind, or one from which we can operate in the best possible way? Well, there's a number of ways of stepping out of that anxious state. And the first one is what we've done there is that we've identified it. And we've identified it in the body. So what can we do to almost like address perhaps the physical side of it? Well, we can make sure that our feet are flat on the floor. They probably aren't if we're feeling anxious. So they're feeling flat on the floor. Do you feel, oh, there's the floor underneath my feet? You know what? Yeah, I noticed that my feet are on the floor. How does that floor or carpet or whatever it might be feel? Okay, so anchoring ourselves in that feeling of the body, realizing, okay, so much of this is going on in our head, but actually let's bring it back into the body. Then there might be that it could be that we're frowning, that we could be having some sort of, maybe our face is somehow tensed up. How do we address that? Well, we see if we can smile. Maybe we try and find something that might make us laugh. Laughter's very good at kind of almost like it's been used for many years as a response to fear. I think if you talk with people in any profession or way of life where they regularly face fear, there is often to be seen a humour, sometimes described perhaps as a dark humour, where we mean a humour that perhaps is on the edgy side of things. Perhaps it touches on subjects that we wouldn't normally talk about. So there's humour, there's the body posture. Okay, what about those shoulders? I talked about the shoulders. Well, we can roll them. Oh, did you hear that click? Yeah. So roll the shoulders. I used to see a guy who practiced something called body stress release, and he would always say, yeah, roll the shoulders out. And so all of this is about freeing the body of tension, and I think tension is something that does build when we're feeling anxious. What else can we do about anxiety? Well, sometimes I think when we get anxious or when we get into any given negative state, we tend to go into this state of separation. That's to say, we kind of go within ourselves and we don't let others in. So a key is almost to tell someone you trust, someone who won't use that against you, but someone you trust, that you're feeling anxious. Yeah. Ideally, someone who's not going to try and fix it for you, but is just going to say, oh, right, yeah, I get that. Yeah, you're feeling anxious. They might ask you to talk more on that. But at any rate, you'll have felt that you're not alone in that anxiety. You're not in that kind of that isolation. Yeah, so those are some thoughts on managing anxiety. From a sort of physical perspective. I mean, there's the other side of it, which is also the question of what is causing the anxiety. What am I anxious about? If by internal questioning we can say, oh, what's this thing? Is there any action we can take? Can we take any action that would reduce that anxiety? For example, I'm worried about what I said to that person, that I said the wrong thing. Okay, well, maybe if I can speak with them and say, that thing I said, I'm just worried about how that might have landed. Was that all right with you? How did that land with you? They have an opportunity to confirm or to dismiss my suspicion, and maybe if I've said the wrong thing, I have the chance to offer my apologies and to sort of retract what I said. I say this simply by way of an example, but it's a way of kind of checking out those things that are causing anxiety. Is this legitimately something to make us anxious? So we take action, or we try and establish facts. So that's probably a more sort of, I suppose, practical way of dealing with it. Because, I think with anxiety, it's like a messenger, isn't it? Or like a kind of a way of telling that, that something needs doing, that something is bothering us. Therefore, why don't we act on it? But rather than try and silence it and pretend it's not there, why don't we instead, face it head on? So there are some thoughts, I think, there on anxiety, which I hope are useful to you. I'm glad to hear that people are still watching these videos, and that maybe new people are discovering them, and that I'm able to reach out to more and more people. I appreciate not everyone has the money to see a therapist or to have counselling, so if I can reach you via this free and easy way, then great. Yeah. So I wish you well. Know that you're not alone, and there's plenty of help out there should you need it. All the best for now, and I'll see you in the next video, or one of those ones that I made already. Right, bye now.